2,000 days of Dokkan achieved. Let's take a long look back at our account. How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We are back for another Dokkan Battle video. In today's video, your boy Celtic here has finally achieved 2,000 days in Dokkan Battle. So I've just spent a little time in this video doing a rank and a box showcase, giving you guys a little context around my Dokkan story. Those of you guys who've been around the channel for a bit may have heard some of the things you're going to hear in this video. So if some of you guys may be new to the channel. Some of you guys might have been in and out periodically. So if you hear something you've heard before, let us know in the comments down below. And of course, if you hear something that is news to you, let us know your thoughts on those. So let's go ahead and let's kick things off with our box showcase. So we're going to start, we're going to go ahead and sort our filter by acquired from the earliest. We'll start with our earliest units in Dokkan. So for those that aren't aware, I started Dokkan back during the COVID times. That's when I started playing the game, not making content, but just playing. And it was during Worldwide 2020. This was right around the release of this guy right here. But funny enough, right, he was not the first unit we pulled. The first unit we pulled was actually this STR Omega Shenron, and I cannot for the life of me remember how I got this guy. I have tried and scoured and looked for a banner that was available around the time that the Vegito released, where he was available, and I just can't find anything here for it. In fact, the only thing I can find here is the worldwide ticket banner, the Dokkan Fest ticket banner. And the thing is, I wouldn't have had tickets then, which means I must have summoned on the Dragonstone banner and got him that way via one of my SSR summons, but still doesn't seem right to me because I vaguely remember getting him off of a single summon. So I don't know, maybe I did a single summon and got it. I honestly don't remember, but regardless, he is the first unit in Dokkan Battle that I have acquired, aside from, some random units that they were giving out, like, on this. So, like, I did get this guy randomly on, like, that introduction multi that they make you do, like, when they're explaining the game. This is actually the SSR I pulled off of that. So that's why, if you're ever wondering why I talk a lot about Drippon here, it's because he was literally the first SSR I ever pulled. And I'm hoping one day we get this guy as a Dokkan Fest. Anyways, moving on. That brings us to Vegito, right? We grinded out a lot of these free-to-play guys during this time, and then we ended up pulling Vegito, like, literally on our first multi of the worldwide that year. Like, I think because these guys I got off of actually Goten. It might have been a multi. It might have been that multi now that I'm looking at the banner, because this Goten, right, this guy is free. So I got him out of the Baba shop. And then there's this guy. So was he being given out with the stone? No, I don't think so. Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, it had to have been a multi, because that would explain how I got these three. And then I summoned on Vegito, though. Regardless, we summoned on Vegito, and I distinctly remember getting this guy on our first multi. Even better, I actually got 2 copies of Vegito on the first multi, and I had no idea what to do with them. I didn't know what dupes were, right? At the time, the game didn't really explain the hidden potential system very well, unless you paid attention to loading screens, which I did not. So I didn't really know what to do with the hidden potential system, and so I ended up, because box space was very, very limited for me at the time, and team cost was very, very limited to me at the time, I ended up actually selling one of the extra copies, not understanding the point of the dupe system, or even the hidden potential at all. Like, I think I used these guys at 0% for quite a while until I figured it out. And it was at that point I realized what happened with the dupes for the Vegito. And at that point, I went back and I grinded out dupes and hidden potential for all the free units that were available during that time. So it was a really interesting scenario, right? I did end up picking up this guy though, right? Because remember during the worldwide they gave out the redstone. I did end up picking up this guy with the redstone because I remember looking online and seeing a lot of people talk about how this guy was pretty amazing. So he is the first unit I picked up with my redstone. The Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. So it was very nice. So over the course of the next few months, I continued to grind out free-to-play units. So you'll notice there's a big chunk of free-to-play units. I just did every free event that was available at the time, just grinding out stones, grinding out stones, grinding out stones. Didn't even touch Gohan's banner. So you notice there's a surprising lack of Tech Ultimate Gohan. I ended up skipping his banner, thinking the card just looked silly and I wanted nothing to do with it, not realizing what a powerhouse monster Tech Ultimate Gohan was at that time. But regardless, I ended up skipping all the way until about the Halloween banner. And if you guys remember, on that Halloween banner, they gave out free tickets. And on those free tickets, I ended up getting a copy of this guy right here, the blue Kaioken Goku. So that was really cool on that Halloween banner. And then I ended up summoning on the banner again with the STR cooler, right? And so that's how I ended up pulling him as well, and Tech Bardock too, right? So all three of them I ended up getting off that Halloween banner that year, which was really cool, right? Still kind of understanding the game, but Bardock, we'll come back to him, ended up helping me beat LGE for the first time, right? And we'll explain how that is in a little bit, but you can see we kind of grinded out all of these different characters during that time, and just again grinding out stones. Remember, as a free player, there's thousands upon thousands of new stones for you to gather. Significantly more now than there were at the time I started during 2020, but still, nonetheless, I think at this point I probably had about 1,500 stones in the bank, just from grinding out story and everything I could. There were still quite a few Dokkan events I couldn't quite beat yet either at this time as well. So while I did have SCR Cooler, I couldn't awaken him, right? I was really struggling to understand team building at this time. Even the Vegito, right? I had him as an SSR for a very long time. In fact, it probably wasn't until I finished the Bardock squad here that I was really able to start taking down the Dokkan events. And really, it was that team that helped me understand team building. But moving on, at that point, the Tech Bardock came, and then the next banner to drop was the Int Gohan and Trunks banner, or not Trunks, the Int. Well, the Gotenks. It was Gotenks banner. Yeah. Okay, so it was the Gotenks banner, and on that banner, I ended up pulling Piccolo and this SSJ2 Goku here, along with Fizz Gotenks, which was really cool, right? So, I mean, and I think I only ended up doing 2 multis on that banner. I didn't do anything crazy. I wanted to save my stones. Oh, that's also how I got this guy too. Yeah, so I think I ended up doing 2 or 3 multis here, because that's how I got that guy too. Which also one of my favorite cards in Dokkan. So really, really cool. And then moving on, we ended up getting our first taste of Dragon Ball Heroes. And it's I didn't know that Dragon Ball Heroes was an annual thing. All of a sudden, I just see one day suddenly they drop a banner with 4 Super Saiyan 4 characters, and I was like, you had me at Super Saiyan 4. And so I ended up summoning on the banner and nearly rainbowing every character. Not intentionally though. It just, right, getting Gohan and Bardock to Rainbow is kind of what happened on the way to get Vegito to Rainbow. Wasn't intentional. I think I ended up spending 400 stones in total on that, which at this point I had near 2,000. But I ended up only getting the Vegito to 90%, I think, on that banner, which was really cool. Like, it was just a fantastic concept, this first hero celebration to me, because not only was there content that was new, it was my first time experiencing guaranteed featured summons, which is kind of cool. So that was nice. The only thing about that was the events I actually couldn't beat. I just didn't, again, still learning the game, still learning teams, still learning unit mechanics, and I couldn't beat the event that dropped with the heroes units that year. I think I got maybe to, I can't remember how far it went, but I think we could only complete like 3 phases of the event and until I lost. But with that said, this team under the Time Traveler's lead of AGL Bardock here is what actually finally helped me beat LGE with items, of course. And finally kind of understanding how that fight worked, getting to the end of it. So that was actually kind of cool, right? That was actually a really fun team to run. Just letting Bardock stack up there and having these guys just run rampant next to him. It was pretty interesting, even though they were slightly restricted to hero. Okay, they're not slightly restricted, they're really restricted to heroes. It was still kind of fun. Yeah. Moving on, right? At that point, we had the Christmas banner with the Tech Vegito, I think. Was that the Tech Vegito? No, that wasn't that year. Oh, right, it was the I'll have to sort by here because I actually ended up not getting them here. These guys, right? It was this guy's banner was next. That was the Christmas the December celebration that year. And I ended up not being able to pull them, but I pulled a whole bunch of other stuff between on the banner that they were available on. So I ended up getting these 2 guys. I did end up getting the GoBros and a lot of these other guys here. This guy I actually got off of the LGE tickets that year, so that was really cool. And you can kind of just see, right, how my box started to build up at that point. I started to have some really good characters that I can use on my teams. I ended up nearly rainbowing the GoBros on that banner, right? So I actually went pretty deep on that banner. And thankfully, I still had a ton more free-to-play stones to come. And so I ended up summoning a little bit on the... where is it? I ended up summoning on the double rates banner that would drop later. That was the first experience I had with the first dual release, right? The global same time campaign for the SSJ2 Gohan. And as many of you guys have probably heard this story over and over again, this was the first real big shaft in Dokkan that we had, and it was really interesting. It wasn't quite prepared for how bad that double rates banner was. And this is back when yellow coin banners were pretty atrocious too. So you can see I didn't really pull all that much good off of that banner, right? The LRs I pulled off of that banner were the androids here, these guys, and the Fizz Bardock. So while I did get some good LRs off of it, like it took 1,500 stones, which as a new free-to-play player, that was pretty jarring to get. But nonetheless, we did it. And then I continued to grind until I had enough to start using tickets and summon on the Christmas banner, right? And this is the Christmas banner that brought back the 5th year. So I was able to grab the 5th years on that Christmas banner, although it did take me a while to get them, as you can see by the characters we pulled in between on that banner. But it was really cool because we got a lot of usable characters. Again, just filling out that box. So within the first couple of months of Dokkan, right, I actually ended up filling up my box quite nicely. And that really set me up for success moving into year 6 of Dokkan, right? I ended up doing 600 stones on the I ended up doing 600 stones on the banner, the step up banner that year. And this was the year, this was the infamous year of the Super Saiyan 3 Goku mixed up, right? For UI Goku. For those that weren't aware, during this year, there was a mix up in the IDs on the banner, right? So what should have been at any point on the step up banners, right, you can pull one of these yellow coin LRs. However, there was a mix up in the IDs, which meant that the ID for UI Goku was accidentally coded as Super Saiyan 3 Goku, which means if you had pulled Super Saiyan 3 Goku, you actually were supposed to have pulled UI Goku. The only way you could have pulled UI Goku is on the final step in the final slot of the final multi. And I was one of the few people who actually did that. So it was actually kind of crazy. And I was rewarded for it too, right? Because I ended up spending all 600 stones, even though I did get this guy on the first 200. I ended up spending on all 600 stones, and then we got the refund. We got it all back. It was the best step ups ever. It's the best thing I could have asked for a brand new player. But nothing else really came much of it from there, right? I just continued to save at that point. Once we got there, didn't really summon on any more banners until February when we got the Int Gogeta, and that it was at that point I also picked up Tech Ultimate Gohan. So this was, again, as you can see, like, we're still building up our boxes. We're still struggling with some of the difficult events at this time, especially SBR, right? But we were getting there. It was quite the journey to get to this point. But the Int Gogeta combined with the Heroes units actually what got me my first no item run on LGE, which was surprising. I didn't think I was going to be able to do that, but it happened. And it was really cool. I was really, really happy for that, being able to do that. He was just such a monster, even at the 55% that I had him. Moving on, right, then we started getting to Saiyan Day, right? And this was my first Saiyan Day experience for the Int Broly, and that was super exciting because I was actually more hyped to pull this guy than I actually was the Int Broly, the Super Saiyan Trunks from that banner. Even though I couldn't use him, I had no Youth Gohans to use him with, so no. But it was still pretty fun to run on Tech Gohan's Hybrids team. So that was pretty neat. Moving on, right, we started to continue to build up our box leading into the PyCon and Janemba celebration, and I actually kind of summoned a little bit on this one. Thankfully, it was mostly tickets, but I was able to pick up PyCon, and what I was really happy for was being able to pick up the third years during that celebration, even if it was only at 55%. Now, the reason I was very happy about this is, of course, going to come into play as we approach year 7. Because I would not have had these guys otherwise. But it was really cool. I didn't pick up Janemba during that time, but I was mostly concerned with the third years and getting another copy of the 5th years as well during that. So that was really cool. And at this point, we had already known about year 6 anniversary on Global. Remember, this is back during Global Foresight time. So we had actually already known about year 6 UI Goku and Blue Evolution Vegeta. And then we got the reveals for the GT duo here, the Super Saiyan Goku and Super Saiyan Vegeta from Dragon Ball GT. And I made one of the most wildest decisions I've ever made. I said, screw 6th anniversary, screw Tournament of Power. We are going to summon for these guys, right? I would rather have a GT anniversary of my own. And that's what we did. We spent all of our stones on this, and we're able to pick up not only the GT duo, but the Goku and the Vegeta here. as well, and as well as a few other Dokkan Fests from the banner, such as Golden Frieza. I actually think I got this guy with the blue stone at that time, and who else was I think that's it. That's what was on the banner. Oh, Majin Vegeta. So we got him. So we had the complement now for the Super Saiyan. To Goku, which meant I could now complete Super Saiyan 2 ESBR, which was really nice. And then, as you can see, I was able to start clearing SBRs, right? We got our first SBR rewards here, and we were able to start clearing that. So that's really cool. And then they dropped the craziest part 2 ever, 17, who we actually did get on our first multi, which was kind of cool. All right. So we're going to skip ahead to year 6 here now, right? Year 6 was kind of cool. We got UI Goku and Blue Evolution Vegeta both on our first multi. So our decision to skip anniversary ended up paying off quite nicely. Although we didn't really have, we didn't really summon much else at that point. But I did have enough coins to buy this guy, which was nice. So I did end up buying this guy with my coins. So that was my first time buying coins. And as per usual, probably the dumbest mistake I ever made, because I literally rainbowed him the very next celebration. So, yeah. But speaking of next celebration, right? Or before we actually get to that celebration, right? You'll notice that I have Super Saiyan for Goku right here. So he EZA'd during that GT celebration, and I actually could. Not only did I not have the 2 units, at that time, I couldn't even beat the stage because I didn't have any of the artificial life forms necessary to clear the stage. And in fact, I think I actually never even finished the stage itself until 7th anniversary. So I couldn't even beat the fight. It was crazy. That's how hard it was. But nonetheless, I finally was able to EZA him by Worldwide that year. I had actually picked this guy up on the Worldwide tickets. And got ourselves ready for Worldwide that year. Worldwide that year was the Ent Goku and Frieza, who we both pulled. Funny story on the Frieza. He was the first unit I pulled the first major LR on his own banner that I pulled to 79%. And the reason I pulled him to 79% is because I actually got him to 69% on the first rotation, and I wasn't paying attention, and I fed my dupe into the wrong path. And so I ended up going back in on the banner, which I knew I shouldn't have, but I did anyways. I went back in onto the banner so I could fix that mistake and get him to the proper dupes. I probably could have waited, but I mean, it just felt weird having it separated like that. But at this point, we had a pretty firm understanding of the game, and we were just clearing events and beating a lot of the more difficult ESBRs that we just couldn't have beaten yet. So from there, we're going to go ahead and skip over to the Dragon Ball Heroes celebration. This was my first Dragon Ball Heroes celebration, officially trying to rainbow all the units. And of course, should come as no surprise the reason why. And that is because the God Trunks himself. Having God Trunks was just so cool. I didn't even know about the form. I didn't really, again, still not really knowing much about what Heroes is. It got kind of cool to see him, even though he was, pretty restricted to the heroes. I mean, this whole batch actually pretty much was, but it was still really fun to use. Had a lot of fun with this character, just playing around in the events available. Dokkan was such a simpler game at that time. The events weren't too crazy difficult, and you could still use units from a year, 2 years prior in the events around the time of this release, and it'd still be good. Obviously, GT Vegeta event, GT Goku event were a little difficult, but you could still get away with it, especially with items. So that was really cool. And then we just kind of held steady, only doing tickets on the banners for the rest of the year. And we had actually managed to get Kayla Caulifla, Hit and God Koku, who we actually got to 90% through the tickets, which was kind of cool. Where is he? Oh, Turles. Yeah, actually. So this is where we pitied Turles too, during the worldwide that year, right? We pitied Turles, because I had actually got enough yellow coins to pity him. So I had pitied Turles at that point, and funny enough, he was featured on this banner, and I ended up rainbowing him on that banner. This happened every time I pitied a unit. With coins, by the way, all the way up until this year. Every time I buy a unit that I miss, that I end up rainbowing them the next banner. So we held until the big event here, right? So we'll just skip a few Dokkan Fests for the sake of the story, right? And jump to these guys right here. The AGL Trunks and Gohan, and the boy himself. Where is he? AGL Trunks. So these two units are what really started the right. Let's consider the before, right, the origin story, but these two really kicked off, right, the Celtic Link you know and love today, right? If we they are what kicked off the channel, right? You guys see some of our first videos were the release of the Trunks summoning for him, doing his showcase, doing the SBR that released, and of course doing a cool little no item Infinite Dragon Ball history with Bonham Master and Disciple at the time, which was still a pretty rough team, but it was fun. So they really kicked off the really kicked off the channel. It was super fun and super exciting, right? I don't think I had ever been more excited for a release than AGL Trunks, even though I did end up getting shafted there. It was pretty cool. So continuing the story of our journey, right? We get to year 7, where we got the LR the LR gods and the LR Fizz Super Saiyan 4s. Probably one of my favorite times in Dokkan, right? The community was just coming together. My channel had just hit 1,000 subscribers during the anniversary, and right, like just that whole time here between then and now, right? We had Golden Week, but it was really this part that really hit things for the channel. So it was pretty cool that you know, the views started flowing in, y'all started coming in, really supporting the channel, appreciating the guides, and this anniversary is really what sold what I had to do as a Dokkan YouTuber, right? Realizing how important these guides were to you, the hidden potential builds, the summoning guides, the anniversary preps, and the team builds, right? Really that was sold for me during this anniversary, that's what you guys come to this channel for. And you know, we've tried to hold it since. And hopefully you guys have been hopefully you guys are still appreciative of that, because I know I appreciate every one of you guys that tunes in. So throughout that year, right, we had a lot of fun summoning on banners after year 7. We had who was the Dokkan Fest after that? Raditz, that's right. We summoned on Raditz, our first birthday summons of the channel, and this actually resulted in us getting a Zeno multi on the first multi, which was crazy. That was probably one of my favorite birthday summon videos, just because of how hilarious it was. But yeah, so we moved into Raditz, and then into probably one of the most fun worldwide celebrations we've had for the cooler and the bird coup. I think outside of the whole pity carnival coin situation, this is probably the closest I've ever seen the community come together on anything between year 7 and this, right? I think we were all pretty in a pretty good place here. I think everybody saw the potential in both of these characters, had a lot of fun with it. I know I did. And it was just a really great time. Moving on, right? We skip ahead to the Gamma celebration here with these guys. We ended up pulling both of these guys, but not in the way we thought, right? On the Stone Manor, we actually only ended up pulling the Gamma 1, and it was through a lucky YOLO single that we ended up pulling AGL Gamma 2. And actually, the same thing happened with Tech Vegeta during the part 2 of the anniversary. We got him on a YOLO single, so that's why I will never trash YOLO singles, right? For the single summoner folks out there. And then, of course, we had the Int Blues for the thank you celebration. I know they got a lot of hate, but I loved using those units. I actually got the first Cell Max no item run with these guys. Because of the team setup that I had used. I had actually was one of the first people to upload a Cell Max no item run with their team specifically. And so that was kind of cool. That was a big moment for the channel for me. Moving on, that year we had the Vegeta and Trunks. This was also another big. It was a lot of big moments for me and for the channel in year 7. Kind of crazy to think about that in the retrospect. But this was probably one of my third all-time favorite releases, next to Fizz Trunks and AGL Trunks. Probably one of my, and now Trunks and Gohan. It was probably one of my all-time favorite releases. Before that, we had the hero celebration for the Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4. So at this point, I become pretty invested in heroes and was really, really kind of looking forward to these guys' banner. Obviously, they ended up being a little bit of a disappointment, but also, once again, first person to upload a no item run with their team against Cell Max, which was one of the more difficult events at that time. Now, the no item run for Broly took a lot longer, but we did end up getting it. But at least the Cell Max we got, which was pretty cool. Moving on then, New Year's celebration that year, we had the Beastless Gohan and the Orange Piccolo. And this one was kind of cool for the channel because this was one of our first collaborations. For those that remember, we did a collaboration with the user Greg Daw. Used to put out really good guides for understanding unit defense and celebration guides. So we collaborated with him. He actually got insanely lucky on these banners, and I was really happy for him. I ended up pulling 2 copies of Gohan during that, but not Piccolo. Piccolo, I ended up not getting till way later. It ended up being my second biggest shaft next to SSJ to Gohan, and so yeah, we had to work with that during that celebration. Right, we got Piccolo much later that year. All right, which much later that celebration, which, speaking of later that year, if we want to go ahead and skip ahead here, right, the next major celebration for us was Golden Week that year. And once again, we collabed with another creator for this one, and seeing a trend here, we pulled 79% Goku on our tickets with the collaboration, but we did not pull Piccolo. In fact, the Piccolo pull was actually kind of interesting because we pulled him on Piccolo Day, or Goku Day, rather. We pulled him on Piccolo Day on a single. So once again, cannot trash those YOLO singles. So that was really fun. That was really I was really happy about that because I was actually able to use them. So the first time I uploaded a late 55% guide. And that drives us into, right, the 8th anniversary. This is now my third biggest shaft, it took us almost 1,500 stones to pull the Z Duo after getting the GT Duo in less than 100. So that was pretty rough. It was definitely not a fun anniversary for me, but we did get a lot of good units out of it that we could use, such as the Beerus, who would end up coming into play later for us in year 9, right? So we were happy to have pulled him then, or not pulled him, but get him on the Redstones then. It was also, I finally pulled Goku and Piccolo from the part 2 of the Ginyu celebration. And then we moved into one of my favorite celebrations of all time, and that is the Future Saga 2023. And despite what many people say about the events during that, which I know I wasn't that big of a fan of, The release of this guy solidified it for me as one of my favorite celebrations. I just enjoyed using this unit so very much. Uh, Still use them to this day, right? Still use them in this day. Still enjoy using them and have a lot of fun with them. So from there, right, it was at this point we got announcement of the sync, and we started really looking forward to having same time celebrations. Although it would take until the release of Beast Gohan in year 9 for that to happen. So you can see how many releases actually happened between that time, right? We had Goku, we had another Heroes celebration. We had these guys in Android 21 who actually ended up being same time celebration, which gave us hope. And then we went right back to doing our own thing for New Year's, where we got our boy Super Trunks, who we got to 90% during that banner. And this is where things really started kicking off for the channel. This is when we started doing those Trunks snow item runs. This is when we started throwing Trunks into every event imaginable. And we have been doing it since 2024. We can't say 2023 because on global we didn't drop in 2023, but this was probably my second favorite release of Trunks, right, specifically. So really happy with him, that we got him level, like this was before the orbs, right? So we had to grind him out manually, and we had him level 10, I think, by the very next day. It was really happy about that, and just we're going to continue to use this guy all the way up to the EZA and beyond, right? He's just one of our most favorite units. And then, of course, right, many of you guys know the Part 2 8th Anniversary Shaft. It wasn't until the Omega celebration that we rectified that by getting Kaiku and Gohan here. So that was cool. And then moving on, right, we had the next major joint celebration with the Goku and Boo, which was really fun. These were really great reunions, had a lot of time. Once again, I also feel like this is another celebration where the community was kind of in a really good spot, despite the fact that global was still behind on 9th anniversary. It was just like the events we had were fun and challenging. Zamos was Zamos, but it was still right. We still found ways to have fun at this point. And then that brings us into the 9th anniversary, where things were interesting, right? Because this was Global had those special discounts on Part 1, and we had managed to pull both Gogeta and Broly to 79%. And then same thing on the Part 2. And the Part 2 was even crazy because we literally like rainbowed Gohan through tickets and our summons. We had a couple leftover single tickets and we did those, and we had actually ended up with a rainbow Gohan within the first 2 days. It was kind of crazy. It was the first ever time that I rainbowed an anniversary LR on his intro banner, which was kind of cool. And it paid off, right? This guy ended up being one of the best units in the game for a long time. And then we moved into the release, right? We got the added EX part for UI Goku, which was kind of cool, right? This ended up being our quote-unquote birthday summons, and we actually got this guy within our tickets, actually, I believe, right? And we didn't use any stones. We got this guy within the tickets, so that was really cool. Oh, lost our characters here. So... all right, let's move on. Let's get back here. There we are. Okay. And then that brings us to Worldwide 2023, where we are or 2024, where we got officially synced, and probably one of the most fun, one of the really fun celebrations, despite the content being dry, right? Just using the Broly and the trio, like we really got the feel for the first real power creep in the game, offensive power creep for our units, right? Like there was a massive jump from the power of our 9th anniversary units to the power of these guys. Broly was a monster. The trio's damage was respectable. Their standby was really powerful. And then it got one-upped almost immediately by this guy here with one of the hardest hitting standbys in the game, which was really cool. Even more so than the Z Duo. And then at that point, we got officially our first Dokkan Fest Pity and our first official synced banner with the introduction also of the Daima characters, right? This is when we started building up to Daima, and that's when, right, for almost an entire year, we're like, Daima's coming, Daima's coming, Daima's coming, because these guys had got released. And eventually it would at New Year's time that year, leading us into the anniversary, right? The 10th anniversary was probably... while controversial, was quite fun playing through it, if not overwhelming, but it was fun. It was cool. We rainbowed a lot of units during that celebration. We got Goku and Gogeta to 79%. We rainbowed this guy. We got this guy to 69%, and we had this guy at 55%, who actually we have 90 now. We still haven't gotten that last two, but it was really cool. And you guys pretty much know the story of year 10, right? I've been documenting that pretty well throughout the last year. So, I mean, that's my Dokkan journey from year 5 all the way till now. It's been kind of crazy. I can't believe it's been this long. I can't believe we've done that much and pulled that many units. Honestly, like when we actually look at things here, right? Let's actually go to one of our filters here, right? So this is, we have 453 summonable rainbow cards, and I actually think there's a couple more that I have to add more to this list, but 450 summonable rainbow cards, including Dokkan Fests and a few others, and that's kind of crazy. I can't believe that. Actually, you know what? Let's update that real quick. All right, so now that we actually updated it, it's actually our total number of 497, just under 500 summonable rainbow units. Like, that's kind of crazy that that's what we're at now. So we'll probably update you guys periodically with this, right? And then, of course, right, our level 10 links, we're a little over 543. Now, this one I've actually been keeping up with. I actually do think we need to add a few more here. Let's go to... descending order, right? There's a few characters we have to add that we have at level 10 already, like these guys. Legic's not at 10 yet. Neither is actually I think Yakon is. Yeah, Yakon is. Right, so we are a little, about 550 characters or so that we have level 10 links already, which is cool. Right, we do grind that out constantly, so really really been keeping up on that, although we have fallen behind, so we do need to do some work here. But 557 total level 10 link characters that we have, so we'll keep you guys updated. I think what we'll continue on is, right, as we surpass each major milestone for the rank update, right? We are currently rank 1103. From this point forward, we'll update you with our updated rank and level 10 and rainbow characters as we approach each rank. So yeah, that's where we're at, right? Our Dokkan journey's been wild. We haven't really been able to... I don't think there's a single event where we haven't been able to no item it, right? We've cleared just about every single event here with no items. And I can't really complain about that, any of them either, right? We've always found ways to have fun with the events, no matter the challenge, no matter what, how difficult it is. We find ways to find new teams, find strategies. Like, that's always been the thing with this channel and this journey that we've been on, is finding new ways to challenge and finding ways to help you guys out, even if it means using items. Of course, we'll post an item run here and there to show you guys we still got it. But, that's kind of really not what our journey is about. But really happy about where our journey has taken us, and really happy about the future of this channel. So we'll leave it at that. So, guys, that is it for our video. Thanks for coming along this little talk story with us. If you guys like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let us know about your Dokkan journey. I would love to hear your story. Tell us in the comments down below. And what are some things you would like to see from the channel, from our account in the future? Let us know in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching and aloha.